of kibosh anything potentially, but we can I can certainly, as a councillor for the area, voice concerns and voice your concerns to the cricket club.
So that's affirmed. But yeah, another thing as well is obviously as a town council, the car parks aren't ours, which obviously we can help.
Could you speak up? Sorry.
Yeah, so the car parks aren't ours as a town council. We don't own the car parks.
Yeah.
And also Library Park, we don't own Library Park. That's one of the only parks probably in Taunton that we don't own as an open space. So just an example that we couldn't have had any.
Or Castle Green.
Yeah, or Castle Green. So even though they would be lovely spaces to have these things on, we wouldn't obviously have any say on that. So I think the best thing to do is, you know, get all the facts together, and we'll put some together and talk to the licensing team at Somerset Council and, you know, find some depth information on this really. Councillor Stainford, and then Councillor Fund. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, first of all, I'm really concerned as to why nobody in the town council seem to know too much about it as far as councillors. I'm sure officers would know about it, but I mean, I certainly knew nothing about it until seeing it recently on social media. And this is pretty big for the town. And as you say, it's every day, most, you know, certainly in term time from 4:30 till 9, weekends 12 till 9. That's a lot of noise actually for local residents. I don't know in terms of licensing. Yes, they'll probably be fine because they do have license on the grounds. However, I'm sure there will be limits in terms of how often the cricket ground is allowed to be open, and the noise levels, and having food stalls, and having. And I mean, if you look at the website, it makes no mention of any fair rides or anything like that. It just says an ice rink, which covered ice rinks are fine because they are fairly quiet. But if there's going to be lots of outside activities and a bar and food stalls, that could get really quite noisy. And then you're under the situation of noise pollution. So if it was to be, say, very noisy as soon as it opens, so it is very close to opening time, and we may struggle to do very much just now, but certainly if this is a problem when they open, they might have a problem staying open. So that may be something we can raise with the cricket ground to say they need to do something to prevent there being a noise pollution to the neighbours.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Councillor Fund.
Thank you. Yes, I know on some of their day cricket days they have stalls and vans there selling food, like it would at like they would be at a different fairground events and things like that. So I guess that's where they kind of get their license from. But I agree that having this going on all night, every day, is a bit excessive. And I certainly, would agree. I certainly wouldn't want to be next to that. So but again, what we can do is very limited.
Okay, I think that right, we'll go on to the next item then. Thanks so much for your time today. If you can, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
The last item is apologies. Have we got any apologies this evening? I did receive one from the announcement study. Right, any declarations of interest for this evening? Declaration of interest. No. Okay, go on to the next item, which is number 3, which is the minutes. To approve and sign the correct minutes of the previous planning committee held on the 23rd of October. Has everybody had a chance to read through these? Any issues? No. To support them, could I get a proposal, please? Councillor Stainford, could I get a second, please? Councillor Furman, could we go to the vote, please? Carry. Thank you very much. The next item is members to note the planning, development and licensing forwarding plan. Has everybody had a chance to read through this? I know a lot of things with the different other plans going on, so yeah, it's important to know. Okay, so could I get a proposal on that, please? Councillor Firman, could I get a seconder, please? Councillor Lester, could we go to the vote, please? That's carried. Thank you. The next item is traffic management requests. Members consider the following traffic management requests for Priory Avenue, Thomas More Court, Priory Avenue, Dunham Roundabout as the petrol station, and road markings Silks Road, Grove Gate. So I'm right in saying there's two people that would like to speak on this. All right. Yeah, he's to the left of the poll and I'm to the yeah, if you'd like to, you want to come forward on the microphone? That might be it. Yeah, whichever you like.
Yeah, I can launch you over
Oh,
here.
really?
I can see
Right.
you.
Problem. Good evening. My name is Rob Davey. I'm a resident of Mill Rise at Staple Grove, a cul-de-sac only accessible through Grove Gate, which is the northernmost junction with Silk Mills Road or Lane, depending on which map you're looking at. The Grove Gate has 126 residences and Mill Rise has 13, so a total of 139. Throughout its length from the A38 Wellington Road to the A358 Staple Grove Road, Silk Mills Road currently has a total of 9 keep clear road markings upon it to protect 6 non-traffic light junctions, 1 commercial property, Avery's Garden Centre, 1 private residence, that's the house opposite Roughmore Lane, and 1 farmer's field adjacent to the private residence. The Grove Gate junction regularly becomes blocked by inconsiderate drivers queuing northbound to enter onto Staple Grove Road roundabout and southbound queuing for the Great Western Way traffic lights, thereby preventing vehicles leaving or entering Grove Gate. Given the recent commencement of the long-term roadworks at the junction changes at the A358 Staple Grove Road, the situation at the junction is already deteriorating and we expect it to get worse. The request of residents of Grove Gate and Mill Rise, those I've spoken to, together with the drivers of service vehicles, are just asking to be given the same courtesy as the other 9 locations mentioned above by introducing keep clear carriageway markings on both the north and the southbound lanes at the mouth of the junction with Grove Gate. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much for your time. Thank you. Would you like to talk?
Yep.
Whatever. Yeah, thank you very much.
You good? Can we go to
Thank you. I didn't realise I had to put anything in writing or prepare. Just came to watch and listen. But so I'm here as a resident of Priory Avenue, and outside there, adjacent to where I live, is a crossing. But it's not a safe crossing. There are no road markings on there to suggest it is a crossing, but it's used all the time. I have an office upstairs in my house and I am often viewing people trying to cross the road quickly, dodged cars, vans, lorries, etc. They may have babies, young children, elderly are often there, and it's a bit of a case of dodgems at the moment. How there hasn't been accidents is quite a shock to me, especially now electric cars are so quiet and a lot more common.
That's perfect.
That helps.
It does help. It gives us clarity, it gives us an idea of what's going on. So yeah, thanks.
I can get more, obviously, footage and things if that helps, or put more in writing.
So one of the things, so one of the things that if any member of public wanted to bring this to Somerset Council is that they'd like to get a backing pretty much, or an understanding from the Taunton Town Council that's gone through the right committees, and kind of it's a good action. So you've done the right thing, comes to Taunton Town Council to then us then go forward with your issues. So it doesn't mean it is 100%. Could happen, but it it definitely helps because it shows, like I say, it's gone through the right committee. So yeah, I will pass it to Marcus and he'll explain a bit more. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I was just going to say that the member of the public who also raised about an issue at Priory Avenue at the other end at the Thomas More Court, nearer the cricket ground, they did submit a petition which was shared with all of the committee in advance, which had been signed by 29 of the residents, and also so yeah, there's similar concern around speeding vehicles at the other end. So just for information, Chair, and you know, you say we're not the Highways Authority, but I think we've all had emails from them saying you know, you need to get your town and parish council support first before we even consider looking at this. So yeah, this is a useful first step in the process to looking at improvements to the road network. Yeah, thank you, Chair.
No worries. Yeah.
Can I just add that, yes, you're exactly right. The reason I'm here is because I've been advised by approaching a highways department to say this is the correct route to go. But I'd also like to raise that in the planning application comments for the new Staple Grove development, where the traffic management group were talking about looking at the wider effects on the wider road network, I did feedback to the planning exactly this point, asking them to take that on board. So they've been made aware from that route as well as through this route. Thank you.
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
It's really helpful because obviously we get issues all the time come to town council, but actually for members of the public to come this evening and kind of highlight, it kind of gives us that focus, and we know precisely where those issues are, so we can actually highlight all those areas around and push them forward. So Councillor Tibbs and then Marcus.
Just to clarify, I know exactly where you mean crossing there, because I do it when I walk to the community centre in Priorswood. So what are our actions from this? Are we writing to the council to share our support for that? And is that all that's open to us at this stage? Is that what we're, sorry, I'm not sure what we're agreeing here, sorry.
So if I can take the request on the road markings one, which is Grovegate and Mill Rise, I think that would be a straightforward request to Somerset Council to add. So there, they say it's a refresh of road markings. I think they've said that they've already spent, because there was a request for existing road markings that had worn away. There was another request, and as part of that, they've said that will be done, but not until April 2026 because they've reached their budget already for the year. So just to put in terms of expectation management, it may not be that this gets done straight away, but obviously, yeah, if the town council supports us tonight, we can add that to their requests list. In terms of the Priory Avenue speed concerns request, yeah, we can write to Somerset Council. We do have a number of speed indicator devices that we as a parish council have purchased, which we do believe has shown some effectiveness in helping people to realise their speeds and to try and slow down. So, and that also provides us as an evidence base if we were to, in the future, I think the town council is committed to looking at trialling some potential 20 miles an hour scheme throughout the town. That provides the evidence base for us to go to Somerset and say, we think there's an issue here with speeding vehicles, so and deterring speeding. So certainly, if councillors would like us to investigate Priory Avenue for a speed indicator device location, we could potentially look at that as well.
Yeah. Right. I'll go to Councillor Firm and then I'll come back and then here's Councillor Stainford then.
Yes, I've driven out of Grovegate a few times, and yeah, it is almost like a blind opening really. So I would definitely support having keep their markings on there. But if it's going to be done potentially next year, then that'll be good. But I'd like to support it for tonight as well.
Yeah, great. Yeah, go for it.
I just want to add. I don't think the speed of the traffic would necessarily help residents or whoever crossing that road, because it looks like a road crossing, but it's not marked as a road crossing, and that road gets extremely busy. It's really heavy traffic.
Councillor Stainford and Councillor Liston.
I think, thanks, Chair. I think there's a couple of things I think we should go for a speed indicator, if that can be done really quickly. Because they are in rotation, and we do have a couple more down, don't we? So that's possibly something we could put in quite quickly. And as much as it doesn't stop people, but it does make people aware. And quite often you get people who have speed creep, who don't know the speed, they're too busy chatting to somebody in the car or whatever. They don't realise the speed they're doing, or they're not being aware of what's actually in the road. But I think it probably that we need to look into the crossing that's there, that's not an actual crossing, and whether that could be changed, whether it can improve the road markings, and whether it becomes a proper lighted crossing.
Thank you. Councillor Lester.
I was going to say, I think that Mark said that the budget available is to redo existing markings, whereas I think the Grove Gate request is for a new one.
We're changing markings.
Yeah. So I think we probably want to support both. I think perhaps in addition to obviously the refreshing the markings, because I used to live opposite Grove Gate on College Road, and yeah, it's that piece of road is just chaotic at best.
It just seems a bit odd that
I agree.
139 residences don't have that facility, but one private residence and one farm gate do.
No, I think it just reminds people to be courteous, as you said. It's short because it's just a key clear.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. There is a potential as well to commission a road safety audit. I know that we have done one through the board member initiative scheme for Tudor Park in Councillor Fisher's ward. So whether that's something that councillors would want to look at potentially, there's potential for crossing possibilities. Crossings are very expensive to put in, so obviously then once you've done the audit and understand the options, it'd be useful to know whether this is a priority on Somerset Council's list, because they do have like the list of priority infrastructure improvements that they want to make, or whether they would be looking to the town council to fund that, which I think the Tudor Park crossing, depending on what type of option you went for, it would range from something like 50,000 to multiple hundreds of thousands of pounds. So not cheap, but road safety audit would sort of be the first milestone in the process.
Yeah. Thank you. Councillor Staple.
I think on the whole, Marcus has sort of asked what I was thinking. The other thing is, whose area did these roads both fall on?
It depends which two you're talking. Sorry, it depends which two you're talking about. Priory Avenue and Thomas More Court Road, my area, Grove Gates.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if how are you for WIMPs? Have you used?
Yeah, well, that I'm not sure that if you're talking, you're not going to cover off a crossing.
No. I mean, in terms of because
it'll need to be next year now, but there's a possibility we could look at. We have a ward members initiative scheme which can be used for things, but I presume Somerset Council would do the work, but we give them some of the money.
I mean, it's something that certainly other area wards could possibly put towards something that is so vital. If it's something like with
I was just looking at a street map. Does the 30-mile-an-hour zone? I don't drive, so does that still just start where the crossing is? On the picture, there's a 30-mile-an-hour zone side, but the problem is I've tried to cross it and the cars haven't had time to get anywhere near down to 30 miles an hour there. So one option could be to bring the 30 miles just to help slow people down before they get to that crossing a bit more. I'll look into it.
Okay, I think looking at all those items, I think we've come to the conclusion that we'd like to obviously do a complete help on all of these items, whether with their individual cases, whether that means we do an audit, whether we put a SID or something else comes from it. I think it's important as a council we take these points on, and I think we should support them more. Don't think anybody else think any different.
One
That's correct. Councillor Staple.
Just one other thing, just looking actually at the actual aerial map all of the street from Hall. And even if, I know obviously crossings are really expensive in terms of fully electric crossings, but even if there could be much clearer signage put up, which shouldn't be too costly, but moving the 30 mph limit out of it and putting in proper signage to show that it is a crossing area and markings on the road. I think looking at that picture, you really can't see it's a crossing. It doesn't look like a crossing.
No.
And it's a very busy road and there's lots of kids using it.
Okay, yeah, I think there's so we need to support all three of these and leave that with us as a council. And I'm sure Marcus and the relevant team will be in contact with any updates along the way anyway. But could I get a support on that, please? That's one proposal. Councillor Furman, could I get a second, please? Councillor Twos, can we go to the vote, please? Do we go to the vote? Yeah.
Got it.
That's good. Thank you very much.
So yeah,
Thanks for your time.
good idea.
Thank you.
Going anywhere else, there's even. Market.
All right, the next item, which is Caulfield.
Bit of a dynamic change because you walked us.
Consider the request of Chair and Trustees of Taunton Heritage Trust to provide thoughts and provide proposed design and a letter of support. Back, Karen, to you.
Hello. Yes, I'm Liz Fothergill and I'm Chair of Trustees of Taunton Heritage Trust, which I don't know whether you know is actually the largest almshouse trust in Somerset. And obviously you're probably familiar with Gray's being the flagship of all almshouses. So we have for about 6, possibly 7 years owned the property that was Shakey's Caulfield Hall that sits on the boundary with the Minster, with Taunton Minster. We unfortunately were caught out with the phosphate issue and we still haven't, we were awarded planning permission, but then it was subject to the section 106 and nutrient mitigation, and it's likely that it will be eventually planning permission will be finalised tomorrow. The challenge we have is that obviously costs have increased over the 5.5 years that we've lost because of the phosphates, and so the Board of Trustees have got that very difficult decision about whether we can actually afford it. The plans we have, I think, are exceptional in that they have been drawn up by an award-winning architect. And they are cloister style. Needless to say, the building that is currently there has fallen into disrepair. We have had to, even as a charity, we've had to invest money in security, needle sweeps, etc., etc. It has been a bit of a liability, but our hearts say that we would very much like to go ahead with this property and developing it into 11/12 new almshouses. Because of the increase in costs, it is likely that we're going to have to go out for funds over and above our planned proposal for 5 years ago, which includes going for grants. And therefore, I hope my simple request to you today is that the council would support us just in. We only need a paragraph from a few stakeholders to include in grant applications to say what a difference this potential development would make to what is a very tired and, tired and antisocial area at the moment, and obviously the benefit of providing accommodation for people in need in the future. So the request is, if you could possibly just write a few words of support, what a difference it would make to the council.
Thank you very much. We'll go to Councillor 2.
Yes, my area again. I'm happy if it helps to have a statement from the council, and as local town councillor and Richard Lees, I can write a statement from me personally as councillor as well, but I don't know if the town council carries more weight than an individual councillor, but if you need a paragraph from me, I'm happy to provide it as well.
Well, I think in terms of, we've got plenty of stakeholders in that. Obviously we give grants, we deal a lot with, council departments and community agencies, but the property itself is only really, reflected by the town council, the council and the Minster, really. That's where it's going to have the biggest impact. We can get obviously community organisations to say what a difference it would make to the residents, but actually the site itself really comes down to only a few stakeholders. So we would welcome, you know, just a few lines of support that can go in applications for grants. And, you know, we still can't guarantee we're going to go ahead with it because of the cost. And if we don't get any grants, we may not be able to, which would be a tragedy. And it may come back to you in another form, another way. But we, you know, our hearts very much would like to see it completed.
Thank you. Councillor Stainforth.
Thank you. I think, I mean, this is a really sad situation of how things have been impacted due to the phosphate issues in the area, especially of Somerset. But I think it's so important to support this. It's vital for the accommodation, for the housing, for people who need it. But it's also vital for the area, and in terms of, you know, locally, most people would desperately want our brownfield sites or existing buildings, you know, improved and renovated so that they can be utilised and also not be an eyesore. I mean, if we don't have support for the regeneration of this building, it's just going to fall further into disrepair.
Yeah.
And that's not good for the town as a whole. So I think we do everything we can to support this. I mean, costs from what was basically pre-COVID now for all building works, which I'm sure our chair will be more than well aware of, have gone up dramatically. So, you know, we do understand your difficulties. So I think we do everything we can to help.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else? I think we would like to, I kind of, yeah, I agree with you all, and I think it's really important. And I think as a council, I think, yeah, well, I think it's the right thing to do. Any other comments? No? Okay, so could I get any proposals to support this? Councillor Twos, could I get a seconder? Councillor Stainforth, could we go to the vote? Scared.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hope that was an easy one.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. So the next item is Taunton Priory Retail Park application to stop up the public highway, to consider whether to use the town council's power to veto this application by objection or not. Should pass it to Marcus. Is that okay?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. So we received a letter from Somerset Council about this application to stop up the public highway. And as per the legislation, the local parish council actually has a power of veto, which I was quite surprised to read about. But I guess there's a plan attached with the agenda. As it says in the letter, the area formerly formed part of the original vehicular access to the Priory Fields retail park down by where the Dunelm is. I'm sure some of you will be aware where that is. So we have a period of 2 months from the date of when the letter was sent, which was earlier this month, in which we can object. So if we say wish, yeah, happy for you to discuss.
Yeah, I'll just say something there, Councillor Fountain. So for anybody who doesn't understand, what does a stop up to a public highway mean? Well, I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Marcus.
It's stopped up.
Is it just formally closed?
From closes it. My street was stopped up.
Yes.
Yes. So no more traffic.
Councillor Fountain?
Yes, do we know why they are closing this one up?
Yeah, there's
Road.
where does the actual?
I don't believe it is apparently
where
able
it's
to
back
drive
to where
down
it was
through
before.
what used to
Yeah, I was thinking we should ask them for some.
The highway, I don't know if you, I guess it'd be a little bit like, you know, where, oh my God, based opposite Debenhams. That used to be a road and then they stopped that, so no highway can go up there.
If you put all that up, it's stopped up. That's
And
White Hill Lane that I live on is stopped up.
trying to think actually where this.
But it's where they're going to stop it up. I couldn't really understand.
No, the picture doesn't really help very much, does it?
So I'm guessing,
On the left,
yeah, I'm guessing where you'd normally drive up there to go in.
yes.
now there's a bridge there, you can't. It's clearly just a car.
Oh, right, this one,
Shape.
yeah.
So it says that used to be.
Yeah.
Paved, but it's now all landscaped as a
I don't.
Is it,
retail park.
has it basically been done already?
This
Because I
one
doesn't,
can't
I
understand.
can't figure out which road it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's a road to
Oh
stop.
my god, that is, I didn't even know it was an entrance. That would actually make sense.
Is
You'll be able to see.
That's an old image on Google Maps from 2012 of the old entrance. That's the Foster
Yeah.
Camp.
Where we, and so this, I can't, I know.
Look at it, it's-
With around the yard where they're talking about, I just can't.
It's welcome back.
Yeah.
So where's,
In my opinion, the actual, well, the road itself has already been done.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
And that, you know, don't really see why you'd ever need that again, because they've got one in, one out. The only thing I do find with these retail parks is that there's never enough exits. And
No,
you
it's
have
a nightmare.
that builds up in these exits, and say future proofing, they might go, oh my god, the volume here. For example, Sainsbury's in Sainsbury's the other side near the motorway. If you drive in there on like a Sunday, you can't even get out. Well, if they did have access like this, in years to come, they might go, oh, we got a highway there, we might be able to reopen.
is that there?
What if we do
It's now
this?
pedestrian access.
You know,
But it's not.
hopefully, and
No, but
it comes and go and actually works.
getting in and out. It's a nightmare. You queue all the way around the car.
Yeah, but so what they think it should be,
No, they're saying it should be closed, aren't they?
but it is.
sorry, Chair, just to say that this is under the section 116 of the Highways Act. This is driven by the Highways Authority. Their typical grounds are that the highway is unnecessary and that the extinguishment is in the interests of the public. But as you say, I do know that there are comments made about how difficult it is to get in and out of the retail park currently, but if it is considered unnecessary and there are no plans to reinstate it, with the bridge there, I don't know if there would be safety concerns, even if you did try and reinstate an exit from that particular point, given there's now a crossing nearby, and it's quite different to what it used to look like now.
Councillor Froman, then Councillor Stanford. Thank you.
Yeah, I suppose if it is kept as a public highway, it would, yeah, people would legally sort of go down that bit and cross over the fence and say, yeah, it's my right, even if it's not safe.
So,
It is closed
Yeah.
off, but.
Councillor Stanford?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, this one's an opening, of course, it's gonna be a permit closed off, it is closed off, sort of in theory, but yes, they still would have a right of way, as Councillor Furman has said. There's been a lot of issues raised on social media about this site recently, about traffic and people getting stuck in the car park and ending up with tickets because they can't physically get out of the car park in quick enough time to avoid getting parking fines, which is disgraceful, because if they're sitting in a queue trying to get out, they should not be being fined. And that's down to highways and there being a problem on the road. Now, I've no idea how you alleviate this situation. Stopping off that everyone's not going to improve, would change anything, because it is just at the moment just a pedestrian access really anyway. But I would like to somehow raise the issues with that road, because it is a problem.
With this, it says consider whether to use the town council's power to veto this application by objection or not. Well, if we choose not to, then I guess we just don't reply to you. Just don't say anything, because we decided not to veto this
That's
idea.
right, and to solicitor and say,
Right.
we considered it and we have no objection.
Okay.
Yeah, but this point, that would be great. I do agree with Councillor Stanford.
I understand that put
If there's a chance to talk to that
no
party, then I think they
And
need to put a point. Councillor Stanford.
Who is the applicant, Marcus, for this? Is it just highways?
It's the local highway.
So it doesn't come from the owners of the site in terms of
I don't know whether they, sorry, Chair, don't know whether they might have asked the highway authority to do this, but yeah, that's not, it doesn't say.
Does that might have been nice to have a little bit of leverage in terms of a crossing?
I presume they're not intending to sort of, there is a cycleway access into the, to stop that up, because that would presumably make it more difficult for customers and things to go in.
Yeah.
At that point, but
I think the whole access to that site now actually has to be reviewed, and possibly down to the new food warehouse. I think that's what's, it's going to much higher flow of traffic into the site, but it's also increasing the amount of pedestrians walking into the site. And originally it was more of a retail park where more were probably going in cars, but you put in a food hall, you bring in people on foot quite often, and there's no crossings. So I think there needs to be some sort of discussion opened with them in terms of improving the access to the site overall.
Yeah.
For both cars and pedestrians.
I'm surprised
Okay,
that
so
retailers on
Looking at this item then, if it's, the application is to stop up on public highway, we're on what we're looking at tonight, whether we're objecting or not.
Yes.
Okay, so on that one, then I think we all agree that we have no problem with them stopping this up. Great. I do think we can possibly put in the future plan that we'd be able to put something together to discuss about crossings to this place, but also with just, you know, this parking arrangement. I think it's
Traffic management.
It's definitely got to be higher footfall.
Is that a view that's shared by the committee?
Yeah, do you, on this agreement that we're not going to veto it, we agree that they're going to be stopping that up. Do you think it's a good idea whether we put those notes in, of those highlighted items? It's a good opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
Really good.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, brilliant. So could I get a proposal then, please? Councillor Furman, seconder, Stay for. Could we go to the vote? That's carried. Thank you very much. Right, the next item is Somerset Council charitable collection licensing policy. It's consultation. Consider whether to submit collective response to the consultation. A public consultation will run from the 1st of November to the 23rd of January. While the consultation is open to everyone, we are particularly keen to hear from the stakeholders such as the town council. More details to respond to the consultation, please use the following link. That's open.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And the consultation is running to the 23rd of January. Actually, so we've got quite a bit of time to consider this, but then somebody said they'd like to hear from the town council. It provides guidance on how Somerset Council regulates charitable collections, with the council aiming that donations go to legitimate charitable causes and that the collections do not cause nuisance to the public. There's in the policies covered around street collections, who can be granted permits in Somerset for them, which is only registered charities, regulations that apply. And then there's also a section on house to house collections and the licenses required and legislation that's that. There's a section on the enforcement, which Somerset Council enforces the corporate enforcement policy. Policy is consulted on with key stakeholders and will be subject to regular review. Happy to take any questions, Chair.
Are there any questions in the room? No. So, as I said, they're particularly keen to hear from stakeholders such as town council. Would we as a council, if we agree on this, to answer as a consultation as town council, would you be able to do something that agrees with what we already highlight in the local, in the neighbourhood development plan? That like link over a local plan?
I think this is more to do with licensing than planning.
The meaning with things that we've highlighted past with the working group. Yes, we kind of interact issues with that also with our planning committee tonight. Have you highlighted, or do you think tonight we list a load of things and put it into the consultation. Can we go away tonight?
Bring it. We can use to bring it back next month because there's enough time. You can bring it to the January one probably. There's enough time, but
Okay.
or you can just submit responses individually.
That's Drummond.
I'm concerned about one of the points of there'll be no restrictions on the number of street collections carried out in one basin on a given day. Does that mean, just there's one organisation in one place, or does that mean, there's lots of organisations almost competing for collections? So I think that's something I'd want to read up on and comment on.
Okay.
And maybe individually.
Yeah, since Marcus said it, it might actually make sense to do it individually. Do you think? As town councillors, but like, when we go away, we read through the list in our own time, or we highlight things and we bring this back to the January committee. Comment for that one. That's sustainable.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I had to look through it. I couldn't see anything that was overly concerning. I agree with Councillor Furman's point, though. It was the multiple one street in the same day. I didn't think about that, whether that's more than one. There's one group, or whether it's the same group doing multiple collections during that one day, which might be a bit of a problem. But otherwise, I couldn't really see anything that was going to be an issue. But
Maybe with point application on that. What
Yeah,
organisational one is.
did you register it?
We should certainly be that as one thing is
It's not now.
the ones that are quite controversial, the chuggers,
clear.
they're not covered under street collection licensing regulations. They do not constitute street collection, do not require a permit, which I was quite surprised to read.
Yeah, I think maybe looking at that then, I didn't really see much from that highlighted to me. Obviously, we'll highlight Councillor Furman's item. Is that okay? Put in the consultation. And anything else that any other items you'd like to raise, or is that okay? Yeah. Okay. So it's just Councillor Furman's point to add on the consultation, but apart from that, no issues at all. Okay. Could I get a proposal for that, please? Councillor Furman, could I get a seconder? Councillor Lester, could we go to the vote, please? That's carried. Thank you very much. The next item is a Neighbourhood Development Plan Working Group update. I will pass it over to Marcus because I was actually in traffic coming back from Bath. It took me 2 hours. So I missed it. Not good. Marcus.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a brief one, I guess, because we've got 2 items following, which were the main substantive business of the meeting on the 13th of November, which was chaired by Councillor Strauss. So yeah, we had confirmation at the last meeting that the Taunton neighbourhood area has now been officially designated, and that's been recorded on Somerset's website. Considered the revised project plan and key issues document. There was discussion around aligning consultations with the Taunton Somerset due to consult on Taunton Town Centre Master Plan. So we're working closely with them on so that there's not that consultation fee if they're going to be asking sort of similar questions in the new year, that we perhaps work together on that as a joint piece of work. A stakeholder engagement list has started to be pulled together by our comms lead. We've had 12 expressions of interest from members of the public willing to join the working group, which is really positive.
That's good.
A really diverse set of background and skills. So we've engaged with them all and asked them a few further questions, such as do they own land, or how many connections with developers, covering that sort of conflict of interest aspect, but also about how much time could they commit to the process. And then I think in the new year we're hoping to set up a sort of session with them to go into a bit more detail and then bring them fully on board into the working group process. We would also have a Somerset Council engaging as part of it, don't we, as well?
Yeah.
Which is positive. Yeah, I think that's everything. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We will go straight on to the next bit then. Is that okay with you? The Neighbourhood Development Plan Working Group Project Plan to consider and approve the project plan document report to follow. Sorry, Marcus. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We did attach the reports late for these two items. Apologies. They are now on decisions, so they should be accessible. As you say, it's to seek the committee's approval to endorse the key issues report as the basis for the next stage of neighbourhood plan development, approve the project plan timetable and the planned community consultation phase, agree to publish the key issues summary and related materials online on the neighbourhood development plan page of our website, note the progress to date and the ongoing liaison with Somerset Council, and approve the draft equality impact assessment for use during the neighbourhood plan process. So in terms of timescales, as we're going through this process, we've got some key consultation that we want to get done and the vision, aims and objectives early next year. There'll be a lot of drafting of policy content through mid to late 2026. Then there's various steps that are set out in legislation that we have to do along the way, such as submissions to Somerset Council, examinations and referendums. You get later on to the process, as you said, there's dates there in 2027 and 2028, so still a long way to go with this. So yeah, I hope you've had a chance to look through the project plan and key issue document. I'm happy to take any questions. Yeah, thank you.
I know from being on this working group that there's a lot of work to be done, and Mr. Todd, who's working closely with the working group, is done these so many times. So I trust the timescales. I trust what he's bringing forward to the committee, and as a person on the working group, but also on this committee, I actually don't see any issues, and I think it's the best thing that we do is approve this to keep the ball going. I don't see any issues. Is there anybody else seeing any issues?
So just a question.
Like to join?
I said I'd come if I was free. Just a question. So the timelines look, I trust what you said, Chair, about the timelines. So are there any implications for the timelines extending, or is it just simply that we don't have a plan? Or are there deadlines that we have to meet for any other reason?
So it's quite interesting because Taunton and its size is unique to the rest of the country because of its size, also and the amount of population and stuff like that. If you put it against other towns or villages, it's kind of you can only kind of pinpoint dates that's happened from other items and then kind of get an idea. Obviously, Stuart has done this so many times. So, for example, if you wanted to put I don't know, a certain item on certain developments or planning applications and stuff like that, that can put it back 6 months. Like he knows that literally you get to a certain sector or project that can push it back 2 months and push it back 6 months because he knows the consultation. He knows the amount of depth, and this is so far what's been put into this. There's a lot of information, but obviously as time goes by, things might crop up, and that might push it back or it might bring us forward. But I think what is key is, we keep this rolling. Is there any other? Okay, so could I get a proposer to support? Councillor Deuce, could I get a seconder? Councillor Lester, could we go to the vote? That's carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Marcus. The next item is Neighbourhood Development Plan Working Group Key Issues Document to consider and approve the key issues document. I'd like to pass over to Marcus, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. I mean, I've only created sort of one covering report that covers both aspects, but if you could, vote separately for the approval of them for separate purposes. But Yeah, the key issues document that's attached is sort of the consultant's done sort of like a big scalp of our existing town council policy and priorities, as sort of say it's listed out there, and in the corporate plan priorities, there's a key as to how much we will have an influence over. So the ones that are green indicating likely to feature in the neighbourhood plan, orange indicating possible, and red indicating unlikely. So there are some things that we have more of an influence for that he would recommend as Dr. Say, see Fireball bus station and listed in red. That's unlikely, but things like local centres like private shops, common show green, civic spaces, etc. So there's a real mixed bag in there, but obviously, yeah, happy to take any more feedback on this document as it goes through the process.
Thanks again. It's a really in-depth document, this, and I think that that's a lot of things. I'll probably say as councillor, I'm even thought sometimes kind of to see that colour coded and also give you kind of the transparency of what can be achieved and what can really helps. Like I said, to keep the wheels rolling, I think it's important we approve this. Any questions?
Me, Chair.
Okay, so that's to support the application. Could I get a proposer? Councillor Stainford, could I get a seconder? Councillor Toots, could we go over the vote, please? That's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, Mark, you don't need talking this next one, all right? Marcus is meeting. Should have called it right there, isn't it? Called it Planning Development Licensing Marcus's Committee. Right, okay, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Right, we now go over to item number 12, comment on planning applications receiving local planning authority. Yes, program over. Item 38-25-0363. I caught GDO off guard, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Full planning permission, erection of a single-storey extension to the rear and replacement of a workshop hobby room at 38 Hallway Avenue, Taunton. Hobby rooms are not very nice.
It got a bit confusing with that.
Hobby room. They live in that.
Is it? It's an old. It looks like an old garage.
All right.
Princess. Yes, it's the way, isn't it? F1 room. Okay, so has everybody had a chance to look through it?
So I have
It was a
That
little.
one was for you, Councillor Lester. Okay, I'm intrigued by the existing hobby room, actually. So yeah, third one down would be great to have a look at.
This one?
Third one from the top.
Oh, from the top.
Yeah.
There's no one in the page. Oh, I refresh.
It's an old garage.
It's grand, very grand title.
There's a train set.
The new one looks nice. I mean, it's very nice. I like it.
Okay, let's go back.
It's planning.
So many TVs in there. I don't actually know which TV to look. We go back.
Oh, for boys, we're placing.
Oh no, the house I get. But
Yeah.
I don't understand why they put down.
I think this is a different one. (38-25-30363). And 38-25-0363.
Dashes, Chair, they're forward slashes.
The forward slashes is out there. I was going to say.
Backslashes.
So that's the question. Which is forward? Why does it have
Forward line.
backslash?
Oh, it's the builder, is that leaning forward or leaning back?
Yeah. Oh, question is what Simon's walls doing.
floor at the moment. All right, okay, let's look at the proposed elevation in the general section, third from the bottom. Yeah, we go. Look at the proposed elevation.
Yeah, see, this was the house, not the hobby room. The hobby room's separate. That's when I get confused.
You go back. If we add
It's the bottom one, proposed floor plans and elevations.
go right to the bottom.
I think that's the one for just the hobby room. Yeah, see, this is where I get confused because I thought this was house. It's
So just put it in French.
quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's still just.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know why they've had to.
From both of these, I don't see any issues at all.
No.
And so it's straight council two.
Yeah, my note, my very small notes just said, there's no objections on it from the neighbours so far, and you know, in the very unlikely event that there's bats in the current hot room, or which are the hobby room that they're demolishing, that they need to follow the ecologists things to just check they're not disturbing anything if they knock it down.
Thank you, councillor Staple.
Thank you. This was a bit of an odd one when I first looked at it, because when you look at the proposed plans, it just shows you the hobby room, which obviously isn't the other plans to do with the house, because the house, the extension of the house is separate. I'm not really sure why they had to have planning for this, unless they had to have planning for it originally, but I think the original looked like the garage. There's no change to the size. I think they are just rendering it, cladding it, roofing it. Unless I'm mistaken.
It says replacement or.
Is it complete replacement? Maybe it is. But I don't think it changes the size.
No.
It looks the same. I don't see any issues whatsoever. Great design. Yeah, no problem. And yeah, support it. Okay, getting a feel to support. Could I get a proposal, please? Councillor Lester, could I get a seconder?
I looked at the house. It's two applications.
Yeah, I know that.
Alright, so yeah, you can.
Obviously, we looked at the house in the first one. Would you like to have a look at it again?
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, we'll go back. Thank you. Existing ground floor and floor plan and location plan. Yeah, it'd be great.
This one's. There's the boundary in that. Right.
Side.
Yeah. And then the proposed.
If we go back. And the third one from the bottom, please.
I think you need the proposed.
Plot plan.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so it's just out the back and there's no side windows. I'm assuming as well. Fine. Same problem.
Yep. Any other comments? Okay, so to support, could I get a proposal, please? Councillor Lester, could I get a seconder, please? Councillor Firmly, could we go to the vote, please? That's carried. Thank you very much. The next item is 38-25-0346. Just going to keep saying that on purpose there.
No,
Really annoying.
just slash.
Yeah.
Slash. Slash.
Full planning permission, erection of a porch to the front of 17 Lilac Close, Taunton. Have a look at existing side elevation. Side elevation afterwards. So it's just a concrete porch at the moment. Back on the proposed. So 4 from the top. Yeah, just a flat roof. Okay. You're back. Construction and general notes, please. 6.
Oh.
This keeps happening.
Yeah. I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah, this,
Damn it.
yeah, the comments
Back.
You didn't cut the right key.
Sorry, Councillor Summit.
On the top, Lee.
Construction.
Mm.
One
Give him a ring. Yeah, I know. I don't. I know it's a pain, but if you go to street view, there's a hedge between the two properties, and I wasn't sure what was happening to that.
No worries. No worries. If we go to street view, our number's 17 Lilac Close. Taunton, that'd be great.
Yeah, that. So how's the boundary? I mean, to have pass comment on people, hedges, etc. I think it doesn't matter. I just wondered, as that comes out, is that going to now be? Is that being removed, and then the extension will be there?
No, I think pretty much where that where the porch is, on the right.
Yeah.
It's the one on the right, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's coming out exactly the same.
So the hedge will be maintained for the neighbour. I mean, kind of.
Exactly.
Part of the hedge.
Gotcha. And the large hedge, and the sort of looks like it's in the middle, it's actually on the
Yeah.
other side of the boundary. So even if the porch came up was slightly wider, I don't think it'll come up. I don't think it'll affect the hedge.
No.
And if anything, actually, the neighbour's hedge is probably actually encroaching on their garden a bit. So they would be quite entitled to ask the
Which one's 17?
It's the right hand one.
one on the right hand
Yeah,
side.
because it's just the small porch is being
Yeah.
placed in.
So that bush on the left looks like it
Oh, no,
belongs.
17 on the right.
That's
On
some.
the left, rather. Oh, that's not how the drawing.
I've got
That's not how the drawing looks. Is it replaced in the?
Really what?
So on the plans, it looked like they had a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
stuff, but that's now longer.
Yeah,
It doesn't. I don't think it changes.
I don't think it changes what they're applying for.
I've got no problem with
No,
that.
I still.
Just,
I was looking at the wrong house, but I still don't.
I think it's, I'm serious, to be honest. It's not gonna be a problem.
Any more comments? Okay, to support this, could I get a proposal, please? Councillor Stainforth, could I get a seconder? Councillor Froman, could we go to the vote, please? It's carried. Thank you very much. The next item is 38-25-0370. Full plan permission, erection of a balcony on the side without alterations to external elevations at 6 Manor Close, Taunton. Yes, so if we have a look at the site photos, which third one down, please.
I could actually just make it easy to understand.
Yeah, so the exterior alterations that they were doing, it's a timber frame upstairs. These properties do need maintenance, and sometimes they are probably designed what 60s, 70s. It's probably coming of age of at least a lot of work.
Yeah.
Especially with the views. I bet the views are actually pretty good. So they obviously want to put a balcony. Councillor.
Yeah, I mean, I had a look. If you scroll down the pictures, it shows a little bit clearer just how in need of work this property is. If you scroll down to the you can see that, no, there's more down underneath.
There's more pictures if you
There's
scroll
another
through.
page.
Yeah.
There's several pages. If you scroll down again one
Yeah.
more, you can see that. Yeah, there. So I think this is going to be a massive improvement. I did have a quick look around the other houses on the road, and another house has got like a similar balcony. So I think this is a good proposal.
Yeah, because it's been empty for a while, I think.
Yeah, it's named about what? TLC.
Quite a unique design, so that's sustainable.
Yeah, next year. As with all these things, anything that's going on to a first floor, we always consider, you know, what that might be in terms of their view and available, you know, things like that. But when I looked at this, the fact that they've got two huge windows already up there, it doesn't change the aspect in terms of what they are looking into. So I don't see any problem at all with this. I think it would be a betterment for the house.
Yeah, it's a property that's become quite tired, maybe dilapidated, and I think anyway, bringing it into this, this world, I think it's a better. I'm actually glad somebody's taking it on. So
Yeah.
I didn't see any issues. So on that account, to support this application, could I get a proposal, please? Councillor Toots, could I get a seconder? Councillor Lester, could we get the vote, please?
Don't know. Can we run?
We're going. Thank you. Right, the next item is 38/25/0371. Full planning permission, change of use of dwelling for care and supervision of a maximum of 4 number of children aged between 5 to 18 with special needs, supported by 5 members of staff, 3 number of staying overnight at 65 Hamilton Road, Taunton, Councillor Toots.
Just a question really was, the title is change of use, but there's also changes to the building, I believe. So I just wondered if it's separate. Are we saying, is this application to change from private residential to a supported home, or are we looking at the manifest changes to Hamilton, the property itself, or does that come later?
So what we're looking at the moment is the change of use. So yeah, pretty much exactly that. The change of use of the property, turning from a, like you say, a private residential house into a commercial that will house, like say, care for supervision of children with special needs. Yes. Is there any other questions? Any points on this? Councillor Stable.
Well, I wait until that diagnose and things. It was just one thing that I sort of questioned it. It states in the application that it's for up to 4 children, 5 carers, 3 staying over. But from what I looked in the plans, there's only 4 bedrooms. So I just wanted to understand how you could have 3 carers staying and 4 children staying when there's only 4 bedrooms. But I'm maybe missing something. It was just like clarification.
Yeah. So
It's 3 total. Was it 3 carers?
Oh, it looks like 4 kids plus 3 carers.
change of use dwelling for care and supervision of a maximum of 4 children aged 5 to 18 with special needs, supported by 5 number of staff, 3 staying overnight. That's firm.
There's 7 in total, right?
I don't know if they'll have like bunk beds maybe in some rooms and stuff.
Because children with special needs, I
Doubt it.
think.
Well, yeah.
That's kind of different too.
It seems a bit, from the sound of the description, it does sound a bit tight, doesn't it?
If you look at the plans, just have a look at the plans. I don't understand how that works unless there's a carer have to stay in a room with
Layout.
a child that has serious. If you see the first floor, it's just 3 bedrooms. And it-
Bedroom.
And they'll change that to your 4th bedroom, so. That's the existing. And that's the further proposed.
This first floor and ground floor.
Yeah. I don't,
Does seem strange.
unless, and this is where I will.
Well, there's the
Wait,
blocks in the garden.
Is there? Is there a case that sometimes if it's a child with special serious needs, they have to have a carer stay with them in the same room? I don't know.
Unless this is literally the place where staff, people come, like, people with special needs come, the staff are there, the people then go, and then the staff should stay there. Does that make sense? It's like everything.
The staff don't actually sleep there, basically, they're just there on shifts. Looking after.
They'll be there overnight, it says, isn't it?
But yeah, but they'll be sleeping there.
But it doesn't actually say.
There's not enough bedrooms for 7 people to sleep in that house.
But it doesn't actually say the number of 4 children staying there. Does that make sense?
But it says a maximum of 4. How can 4 children stay in there? Where's the overnight adult?
I think what it does. Do you mean, Chair, that those 4 children are being supervised during the day, but not all 4 maybe overnight stays?
But you said 3 adults to stay.
Is there like a supporting document within the list that maybe explains, clarifies what the arrangements are?
Yeah, Marcus?
There is a planning statement, but as far as I can see, it says it's I just had it there. They said that the property remains unchanged, retaining its existing 4 bedrooms. The master suite will be reduced in size to provide access to an ensuite for the entire dwelling. And then it just says about the staff staying overnight, isn't that saying? It says.
Where are they staying overnight? If
Have staff to stay only.
how can you stay overnight for 4?
I kind of, it sounds, might be wrong here, but it sounds very much like a place for, that's, like say, they drop off, say, people who need care at this place, and
I think that's sorry. I think I don't think the children are staying overnight.
I think it's a day.
I think it's day for the children,
And then the staff.
and then after the number of children, 4. It doesn't say staying overnight. It says 5 staff, 3 of them will sleep there, and then the kids come back in the morning. So
I guess so.
I don't know.
No, that would make more logically that.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
And work.
Yeah, they may still.
Flexibility to the parent to be able to go to work or to the thing or cancel stay for.
Actually, it does say though, change of use of dwelling for the care and supervision of maximum of 4. Yeah, it's not very clear the way they've written it.
So it says 4 children.
Yep.
But it doesn't mention overnight. But then the only mention it mentions overnight is the staff.
That's probably what it is there. So makes sense.
An item that Mark's just raised on 3.8.3, maximum 3 members of staff. Sorry, it's a bit like a Cluedo. Members of 3 members of staff will stay at the property overnight, providing care for those 4 children. Well, I personally think, and
They need to clarify.
there's no the detail of this application doesn't make sense.
No.
And I personally can't support or object, but I feel like the comment needs to go in to kind of go other reasons, lack of detail.
Who's obviously
Who's staying?
Who's that?
2 will stay up watching
Sleeping.
TV. 1 sleeps.
Different rotated staff, I think. So it says whilst those staff and those engaged in the day shift are employees of the applicant company. So there's a rota of staff that are coming in and working a day shift and a night shift, and I think there are 7 people potentially at that property overnight.
So where are you going to sleep? 7 people in that?
And unless the staff aren't, if it's on a shift system, then the staff aren't asleep, they stay up. So you have the resident, the
That's what I was
young
thinking.
people around the
There's
cricket.
people on a 12 night shift
But it's
sitting
not
next
clear.
to us watching
I think
TV.
what we concluded is it's not clear.
Yeah, I think we don't object
No.
or support. I think we've got a comment and we just say other reason application needs clarity because there's nobody that just doesn't make sense. Does that make that? Do those comments sound okay?
Yep.
Any other reasons, number 10?
Unclear about how much occupation is going to be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's clarification of the occupancy.
Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so on that account, Could I get a proposal on those comments, please? Councillor Lester, second, Councillor Stapleton, can we go to the vote? That's carried. That's 5 people staying. The next item is 38-25-0373-LB. Listed building consent works, demolition of linked structure to rear, erection of extension to platform lift and stair for improved public access, and erection of entrance canopy and associated internal alterations at the Sonnet Hall present. Let's go on the heritage statement. I'll see that's rather important. Certainly from the top.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillors.
I think, so the way I see this again is this is not the council's heritage officer. This is the firm that's been employed to comment.
Correct.
And support this.
Yeah.
So my thought on this is I like what they're doing at the back, but I don't think the officer at the council is, from the council's point of view, has commented on this from a heritage perspective yet, and I'm not an expert. So
I think when it comes to this, probably you kind of wait for those comments. We might be a little bit early on that side of things for things to go by. So is there any chance we can pause, if everybody agrees, pause one back for next month? Is that okay? So if everybody, if the window allows us to, or if it doesn't?
We can certainly make Somerset Council usually quite amenable to us having a chance to, and if we feel it's important before we comment to have the views of the heritage officer, I'm sure they would be amenable if we make that request. Thank you.
I think so. So let's postpone.
Thinking back to, we had one at Mr. Spurway's property on Stable Grove Road, and the heritage officer had comments then which were helpful for me to make a decision.
I agree, because one thing that I know, especially as well, is if you hire a third party company, they're obviously going to be positive impact. Yeah. But obviously being from a fourth party looking into the design, it's a neutral.
Yes. Absolutely. I absolutely welcome buildings being amended as much as possible to grant access to disabled, and is that the right term? Sorry. Yeah.
We only get one chance to look at these.
Yes.
So yeah, don't like. So
we can defer the next
one. Yeah, I think we just defer this one, and then we'll defer the next one. So that would be 38-25-0373 LB, which is the listed building. And then also I think we defer the next item, which is 38-25-0372 to the next meeting. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess, do we need to fill in the forwarding plan, or can we just note that for the next?
Make sure that it's
Yeah, cool. Yeah. We don't need, I guess we don't need to vote to do that, am I right? Or,
yeah.
okay. Proposal to defer those 2 items. Councillor Toombs, could I get a seconder? Councillor Lester, could you go to the vote, please? That's carried until next meeting. Thank you very much. The next item, which is yes, so 38-25-0380, which is for planning permission, conversion of redundant plant room into one apartment with associated works at Deane House, Treasure, Taunton. Obviously, we've already commented on this.
There was a previous application which was around the Undercroft area, which we objected to, but this is a separate application. That one was approved by Somerset Council, as I understand, under an officer decision. I understand when we object and the officer recommends to approve, it then gets sent to the chair of the local planning committee and the unitary, and then they make a determination whether it goes to committee or not. But it doesn't appear that it did. But this is a separate application, sorry.
Okay. Is there any comments on this application? Would you like to have a look?
Didn't see any.
there's nothing really highlighted.
It looks the same as all the other apartments.
Yeah, exactly. And if
Big redundant area that is,
one thing that,
looked at the same size, so.
yeah, one thing that I did see was the room's being made redundant. So it means it's not actually being used at all. So for the use of one apartment, is there any chat if we can go, is it, supporting a letter would be great, please. Keep going down, please. Plant room adjoining the corridor outside terrace, 5th floor, and total area of 70 square meters, external area of 40 square meters. The application site is not directly subject to any landscape, ecological or heritage designation. If we carry on down. Yeah, it's just that snippet. They're currently building them at the moment, am I right? Yeah.
Oh, right, that's why I can't go into.
Yeah, so I was thinking when Mr. House was speaking, I was very much, because the afternoon, I had people phoning me about Winter Wonderland. I wasn't really properly listening to Mr. House. So what was the gist of his? Was he saying that a room should be used as bike stalls or something?
Yeah, saying about the saying how the whole use of it was, or the idea of it was to have electrical car charging places, or charging your electric e-scooter, or even cleaning your bike down and storing important things there. Kind of taking this away kind of makes that redundant. Those space.
We can't comment on if somebody wants to. We have to comment on the application itself. Do we? We can.
Yeah, it's not.
We can say we'll stop it. We want it to be a bike cleaning facility. Yeah.
Oh, look at the plans.
Councillor Stayforth, then Councillor Crowman. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I just wanted, can we have a look at the plans?
Yes, which items would you like to look at?
Just look at the, where the existing room that's defunct is, or is, was going to be, and the proposed.
Okay, so the existing
Plan and then
yeah,
the new
the
plan.
sheet, is it not the elevation? The if we keep
I
going
think
down,
it's down, that's it. So you'd be the ground floor is, I know, but can you see the problem is,
no change as per MMA.
see,
What MMA has put.
the problem I have with this is the proposal is to change this room on the 5th floor. You wouldn't want to put electric bikes on the 5th floor of apartments, so I'm not sure. Not sure if there's, if either I've got it wrong or the gentleman that was saying about having it as a room for.
Yeah.
Can we have a look at that? And that's what I'm saying. Look at the existing floor plan, the 5th floor, and then the proposed floor plan at 5th floor.
Yeah,
This was,
so the 4th from the bottom, please.
this,
Yes.
This is 5th floor.
That's the room on the right, isn't it?
Yeah.
The empty one.
How are you gonna get bikes up there?
Waste management.
Maybe in parking?
On the lift, I suppose.
You don't want to take 30 bikes.
Interesting information in the waste management strategy. And it says that the volume of provision that's been made was based on up to 60 flats, which is they recognise as a slight over provision, and that can therefore adequately service the proposed additional flat. But the bin collection and things would all be on the on-site waste storage and collection is considered already sufficient in their view.
Nothing really is crying out to me as
Let's go to
any
the,
issues.
go to proposed.
Yep. So if we go back, please. Have a look at the proposed 5th floor, please. Where is it? There it is. This one. That one, please.
Yep.
Thank you. No point looking at the elevation because therefore
No, it's showing too.
there it is.
So to me, that looks the same size as the rest, so I don't really see a problem.
No.
So the rest are all okay, that one is okay.
Hmm.
I'm not sure what the resident was getting at earlier, because that wouldn't have been a room for storage of bikes or mobility scooters. And if the plans have already been passed as they are with the storage for bikes, etc., I don't see that we can make any difference at this point.
No.
It's just, we are just been asked about that one part.
And to be honest, looking at that, I don't see any issue at all with that. It makes sense. It's become redundant, so it's an empty space. You could say an argument on lack of, living spaces for people. This fills that gap as well. And to be honest, it matches the rest of the flats that are being approved. I don't see any issues. Anybody else? No. Okay, so in all that, the supports application, could I get a proposal? Councillor Steve, could I get a second? Councillor Two, we can go to the vote, please. Got 4 votes.
I can't because I went.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So it is carried, but Councillor Lester was in the time. Thank you.
And disposed.
Otherwise engaged.
The next item is 38-25-0369-LB, listed building works, reinstatement internal alterations to courtrooms at Shire Hall, Chatham. Okie dokie, let's have a look at the heritage statement, please. Great. Actually, can we have a look at the approach to structural repairs? That'd be great on this. There you go. Perfect. Interesting. Some things going, needs some attention. In my true opinion, this is a great building, and items like this always need updating and extra work because it is a natural product of being wood. But if there was any other materials, they've obviously highlighted it. From the works that they were actually looking to do, I didn't see any issues at all. And it was actually complimenting on the age of the property, and while still achieving the existing look. Say in the heritage statement, they said there was a minor negative impact. It's balanced against the public benefits of the proposal. Grade 2 listed building is considered minor negative impact. So I didn't see much wrong with this, and the line of works that they proposed looked complimenting. Councillor Toots.
Yeah, I agree. The work needs to be done. It needs to be done as soon as possible. I think we need to get court back up and running fully.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so on that, someone to support this application. Could I get a proposal? Councillor Lester, could I have a second there? Councillor Furman, and goes to the vote. It's carried. Furman. I'm like an F1 like constructor thing, doesn't it? Right, okay. Next application is 38-25-0367 for planning permission, erection of a detached outbuilding at Brook Barn, Tudor Park, Cheddar Bits. It's very surprised to see what Cheddar Bits paying it.
Let's check it was in the boundary, but it is.
It is just. Okay. Have a look at the existing elevations, please. Okay, if we go back to the proposed elevation, which is, I think, the second one down. It's like one of the officers' rooms that they've done for COVID, loads of people doing those outlookings. I've never seen, seems to be far enough down the garden. glass is just above height of the fence, so it's not like you see anybody. I didn't see any problems with this at all, actually. Anybody else? Any comments? No? Would you like to look at any other items on this application?
I mean, the photos are always good, Chair, to give you a sense of the.
100%. So if we go back, please.
These site photos.
Yes, site photos. There it is. 7.1. Again. Keep going down, please.
Is it going? Where's it going?
Down the bottom, between those trees.
Okay.
Yeah, wait, there's the deck in there.
Yeah.
So it's replacing that.
Yeah, pretty much the width of the deck. Yeah.
That where summer house used to be.
Seen.
Yeah. Comment from me.
Yeah, great. Okay, so getting the field to the sports application, could I get a proposal, please? Councillor Lester, could I get a second game? Councillor Froman, could we go to the vote, please? Yes, carried. Thank you very much. Okay, the next item is 38-25-0383, full planning permission, demolition of a garage, erection of part 2-story and part single-story extension to the side, erection of a single-story extension to the rear, and erection of porch to the front of 6 Henley, Taunton. Very busy job. Have a look. Okay, let's have a look at the side photos first. Number 2.
So yes, bring it up.
Great, thank you. Okay, if we go back and we will look at the proposed elevation. It makes it into a lot bigger house for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I actually think it's quite complimenting what we're doing. Really quite an interesting design. Lots of roof, we'll say that. We go back again, please, on the existing elevation. So pretty much that garage, they're just going straight up across that, kicking it straight in. On the back, obviously another. Actually, I personally, it makes it actually a lot nicer looking property. I didn't see any issues with this. They were matching in with the existing, tiles were matching. Obviously the layout is a lot bigger. Would you like to have a look at the layout? No? No problems at all?
So there's no comments from
Okay,
others.
great. So to support this application then, could I get a proposer, please? That's a second vote. Could we get a seconder, please? Councillor Twos, could we go to the vote, please? That's carried. Thank you very much. The next item is 38-25-0384, which is full planning permission, replacement of conservatory with the erection of a single-story extension to the rear of 5 Dunkery Way, Taunton. Please. Three 38-25-0384. So, if we have a look at the existing ground floor, you go down there, perfect. Corner, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so kitchen, dining. If you go up a little bit, please. Structure of the existing conservatory patio, great. If you go back now, please, and we look at the proposed plan. Oh, sorry, ground floor as proposed. Third from the bottom, please. That one, great. So pretty much conservatories obviously knocking down, gaining in size, with 3 bellexes. That's a flat roof with skylights. Patio is obviously staying pretty much the same size. Okay, would you like to have a look at the elevations? Can we have a look at the proposed elevation, please? Yeah, great. So Velux, 3 Velexes. So pretty much, well, you couldn't get any more light windows on a conservatory, so actually they put less in. Which
It's fine,
Okay,
garage,
just leveling up.
I wondered what that building was,
yeah.
but it's fine. That's just the garage.
Is this particular?
Yeah.
No, I've got the right house.
I don't.
Okay.
Okay. So to support this application, could I get a proposal, please? So let's look at a seconder. Councillor Thurman. We'll go to the minute, please. That's carried. Thank you very much. Just like that name.
I'll keep it.
Okay, the next item is 38-25-0347, which for planning permission, erection of a single story extension to the side and rear of 6 Deane Drive, Taunton. I will say, I think we actually comment on this if I'm right. There we are. Back in the 28th of October.
Remember this?
Yeah.
Just to refresh our minds, should we have a look at the revised plans elevation? So the one at the top. If we go back a sec, let's have a look at S-Night. So the third one down.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
This one.
Third one from the top. Sorry.
Yeah, the comments.
They've changed it from a 2-story extension to a single.
Yeah, so they're going.
If we go back again, please.
Is that, Chair, is that following that submission there? They've
No,
changed it?
no. So that was before the resubmission.
Yeah.
So they've taken into account is now the new application is a single story extension.
Okay.
So it sounds to me they've ticked the boxes, they've listened to what they objected, and they've resubmitted a new application with a single story extension.
What did we say on the application last time?
Yeah, what was their comments?
Do you have a look on our comments? If it come up, comments from Taunton Sound Council, please.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I think you'll probably list all of them first.
Yeah, well. There it is. Second one down, further planning permission. Support material considerations of design, appearance, members wanted to make sure the material.
Considerations, design, impact on property.
So erection single stories, sign and singles. Yeah, so it sounds to me that they've actually pulled this 2-story extension out.
Yep.
And they've kept just a single elevation. So Yeah, I haven't got a problem. To support, okay. Those are please. To support, Councillor Stainthorpe, seconder please. Councillor Toots, can we have a vote please? It's carried, thank you very much. Okay, the next item, 38-25-0385, which is full planning permission, changing use from Class E office into one number of residential dwelling with removal of condition number 04 usage of application 34-15-0028. Oh yes, okay. Where's Ollie to extend the meeting because we've hit 8 o'clock. Are we all happy with that, or do you want to go?
No, we're just going.
Councillor Lester, seconder, Councillor Toots, third. It's carried.
We were happy about it, for accepting
We
it.
can extend it to
Happy to. Sorry, that's my taxi.
Did you not bring your seat back?
We're going to go to the Winter Wonderland.
Act 21 Shovel Park Taunton. Okay, so we are looking at the change of use here from Class E into a number 1 residential dwelling with removal of a condition of 04 of application. Where is Shovel Park? Okay, we have a look at the front elevation photo, please, just so I have a rough idea where this is.
Group Road, is it?
No, it's within, it's within Central Grove, but it's where the nut fields.
Hospitals.
Yeah, it's in that index.
It kind of seems to me that they had an office doing the right thing. A house, turning it into a small area of the house was an office, and they've just turned it back into a residential dwelling.
Is that right?
So the house wouldn't be classed as commercial. Right?
Have we looked at another one of these recently?
Well, it's exactly where that is. That's that. Yeah, it's blue house at the end, isn't it? Yeah. And Marcus.
Yeah, I think we did comment on this when there was a Class MA. It says in the planning statement, it says that they attempted in November 2025 for reversion of the current office premises to a dwelling, but the council didn't allow them to do that because of this previous condition that was attached to the planning permission. But they've said Taunton Town Council recorded support for the proposal. So they've noted that we've previously looked at this in their planning statement to the minutes.
Okay.
It looks like a house rather than an office. So.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, it's gone back into the business itself. Okay, so to support this application, could I get a proposal, please? Councillor Lester, could I get a seconder? Councillor Furman, do we go to the vote? Carry. Thank you very much. Okay, the next item is 0819-0035, which is an appeal. Outline the planning application with all matters reserved except for means of access for the erection of up to 112 dwellings with public open space, landscaping and sustainable drainage system such and vernacular access point off Cheddar Road, Taunton. Resubmission of 08-17-0040.
Has this gone to the government advisor or the advisor senior? Is this an appeal? I saw a letter from the top one. If you could just look at the comments from Mr. Lundquist. It seems that this has been going on for a.
This one's been twice round us. Hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been to us a couple of times. And it's the
Resubmission.
Yeah, it's the road.
It's the problem. It's
The first application of this was 2017. And this is an appeal for 2019.
It says it's been escalated to the first Secretary of State.
well, I'm not changing.
I wasn't sure how much weight we're going to carry anyway, but
I don't know that we can change our position. Well, I certainly, if it's not
what did we
changed,
do last time?
the access is a problem. It's the road is it? Access to the top.
This is at the top of
On the
Lincoln.
corner, it's the one at the top past the school, Well, you've got the right angle turn, haven't you? And
Right
they
at the
wanna
top of
put-
Lingford.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
top.
do remember that now.
This isn't the Lingford, it's very nearby, but there's two and there's
Right, it's not the one right at the top of the hill.
where there's, I think that's.
Can we just have a look at it? Sorry, maybe I'm thinking of the other one.
This is the one to the left where the farm shop is.
Yeah, going up past, they've done development on that road on the way up past the gym, past the sports centre, is it? And then,
I'm pretty sure this is top of Lingford, then go left. Right, all right,
I think so.
Chen Road.
Yeah, it's top of Chen, it's when you've got the right angle turn at the top of Chen Road.
Yeah.
Yes, then there's access on the left, or there would be access on the left. And it's, I just remember we just spoke about it being just very,
Statements,
Very difficult to get in and out.
yeah,
comments.
it's on that.
so that's the farm there, is it, Chair?
I think it's further along, isn't it? It's that field there, isn't it? No, that one, that's not there.
This one?
Yeah.
No, I think that's the second.
That's the other one we commented
I
on.
think there's one.
There's one there, that's the one I remember. Yeah,
Okay,
There's one, I
point to
think.
that.
So the one
Which one
where,
is this?
the one where we had,
Lots of big,
massive, that was the one to the right.
yeah, past.
This one is, yeah, they're still peeling. I kind of feel like if there's a peeling, if they're peel, and that's kind of for Somerset Council really to be, okay, yes, if I'm right. Councillor Seyford.
Thanks, Chair. I think we should look at what we submitted the last time previously. There has been no changes in terms of the issues faced with this development. Still got 500 residents, really angry, and a lot of problems that haven't changed.
They haven't tried to address it,
No,
they just
They are
reapply,
trying to address
reapply.
anything.
Okay.
So
Oh, there's comments on there, Jude.
you can't just keep throwing mud to hope that something eventually sticks to a wall. My view is I certainly wouldn't support it unless something materialistically had changed to improve the situation, which it hasn't. So I think in light of that, in terms of the residents and supporting the community, we do not change our position.
Yeah.
They are going to the Secretary of State, which to me just becomes desperation if they're trying to ram something through, which isn't necessarily whether it's environmental or whether it's in terms of safety.
It'll probably get approved by then.
Yeah, this is a crazy thing.
So-
You then start to see what's the point of the planning process.
So Marcus saying Councillor Thurman. One,
No, you must wait.
The last time we looked at this was in October 2024, and the comments we made were members endorse the comments. No, not reading out the wrong one, sorry. Object, comments remain the same as when considered in January 2024. Members have highlighted material consideration number 2, design and appearance number 7, access, high resource safety. I think we've just been notified because they're going to appeal.
Yeah, nothing.
And we don't change our opinion.
No.
So the chair, sorry, or vice chair or deputy
Somebody-
clerk of an office manager?
Yeah.
I didn't realise you had added to your title.
Yeah,
Deputy chief executive and office
deputy chief
station
executive.
manager. So does that mean that the Somerset Council threw it out as well? I'm assuming twice, no, once.
It's on the comments.
That would make sense if they're appealing, because, yeah, if it was just us, they wouldn't need to.
Kind of feel for London.
It states in the letter
I don't know if it's.
It says it, does it?
from Matthew, linguist,
Yeah.
opposition from Somerset Council. Everybody's opposed it,
Okay.
so.
You can also appeal for non-determination as well, can't you? So there's a certain amount of time elapsed and then move to the appeal stages. So I don't know if that's.
But this is this, I think this is what the residents saying. Is that
Not being
the community
weighted out,
will not be
yeah.
placed or weighted out, so whether that's what he's.
I do see with this one, they're submitting it without the without the vehicle access, because they know they probably might get issues with that. But yeah, no, I still want to object to it.
So we got to, I mean, at the end of the day, we're here to support the residents. They're not
Nothing's
happy,
changed.
so
They've
nothing's
not improved
changed.
anything. Why?
I can't see that we can change. I wouldn't change our position at all.
Sorry, I know it's been with that chair, but if they've withdrawn a big vehicular access.
His
what-
view say.
How do cars, what does that mean? Sorry, do you mean it's not on Sherland Road anymore, or
No, it's
cars won't be allowed in there?
They would do the vehicle access as part of a different application.
It's just trying to amend it.
So it then becomes a fait accompli, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then they say, oh, it's the
That's
only
the
road, so it has to be that one.
Yeah.
Because what we're going to say, build houses and then not
And they go,
let them
"Oh,
attach a
we
road.
need the
to
road.
it."
Oh, there's one there. We'll just have to use that.
Yeah, nice. No, having that.
That's the second one.
They're trying to
Yes,
rough house the planning process, aren't they?
trying it on.
Taking the mic ready.
And yeah,
That's all good. Right.
it was running much more smoothly without it.
Say that.
Marcus.
Doubted for a second, actually. Also in the council. Right, okay, so where do we get to?
Yeah, going to the vote.
We're
We're going to the vote?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go to the vote to.
Yeah.
I was listening.
Yeah.
Okay, so could I get a proposer? Councillor Staythorpe, could I get a seconder? Councillor Lester, could we go to the vote, please? It's carried. Thank you very much. Carried, Rolls.
Right, does that objection?
Yeah.
Planning
okay.
officers objected.
Right. The next item is, I think I'm right to say, is 42-24-0033-NMA. Members to reconsider application in light of further information from the lead local, the lead local flood authority non-material amendment application for a non-material amendment to application 42-23-0016 for amendments to approved plans to allow for alterations to common infrastructure in phase 2, including drainage and illumination basins, retaining structures and earthworks, site remodeling, engineering works, and landscape planting on drainage roads and sustainable.
Thank you. As we've said many times in discussions about developments, I'm certainly not part of the local flood authority, and the other people I look to for anything to do with flood management. And there has been a lot of changes on this site with very large floods, attenuation basins that are being changed to retention basins, which are different. So I look to the lead local flood authority for their comments. Can you open the lead local flood authority comments for this?
It's one attached to the agenda as well. So just
Yeah. Now, the local flood authority has requested clarification in each of these. Whenever I read through them. And these were actually all concerns that we have raised ourselves, which I'm pleased to see, because obviously the LFE were not here, but whether they watch what we've been discussing or seen our notes, but they've asked similar questions to ours. I mean, even stating Gabion walls, which is a concern for the site. If then we can go back, Julio, to the what they've actually put as the, I think it's in the planning committee report. So they've, yeah, I think so. I think this is really, they've put in their answers. If you scroll down, scroll down. Is it this one or is it the other one? It must be, maybe it's not later. They've responded. If you go back then, Julio, and see if it's in the letter from them. It's the letter from the applicant. I'm sorry, no, up
top.
up, second from the
Second
top.
one.
This one.
Yes, the letter from the applicant. There you go. If you scroll down slightly, you'll see the comments and the response. They've given a response to each of the comments. However, their responses and they've given diagrams and they've said, you know, I mean, BC4 has a freeboard of 216 millimetres. Well, that's not an awful lot actually, a freeboard, as far as I'm aware. But again, I'm not from the LLFE. LLFE haven't commented on these responses, so I don't think we can. The LLFE asked those questions.
Yeah.
The response has been given from the developers, but we need to wait for the LLFE to see whether these responses are good enough, because they've given diagrams with flow rates and things like that. Specialists, and I don't think anybody in this room is. So I'm not sure we can do anything until we hear back again from the flood authority.
So is there any possibility that we can keep an eye on this movement, and keep an eye out when a response comes back from the LFA?
Marcus, can we just request that there's a that we can't respond until we LFA?
Could just put a comment there, Marcus.
Yeah, I think, Joe, I noticed that there's now a committee attached to this application, so it sounds as if it's actually going to the Planning West Committee at Somerset Council. In the report there, it highlights the objection of the town council based on the officer comment is that surface water drainage is a key issue and has been a topic of conversation with the LLFA meeting held 29th October 2025. The formal and final comments of the LFA will be orally updated, but the principles are accepted and there are a few details and clarifications still required at the time of writing. It is fully expected these matters will be fully resolved and left to conditions by the time of the planning committee meeting.
That's what we're going to have to just say. We want those responses before that goes to Somerset Planning.
Yeah, what we could do then on the item, instead of supporting or objecting, we could put a comment. As I say, we'd like to see
if they've been implemented.
Yeah.
The comments, if the response from the LLFE is positive and that these responses are enough, then okay, because they're the specialists.
Yeah.
But if not, then
Yeah,
I don't know where that one's.
if the LFA still aren't happy, then
Yeah, that has
you'd
to
have
be,
to go with their opinion.
you have to
wouldn't
come
you?
back
Yeah.
again.
Okay, so how about we put in the comments, we're waiting on the LFA's comments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As clear as that.
Yeah, even if Marcus says if it's verbal or whatever, they said it's going to be done before the planning committee, so I'm assuming
Tuesday next week.
they've got to have it in before Tuesday next week. Unless we object.
Right to comment there? Yeah. Cool. Brilliant. Okay, so could I get a proposal on that item? That's Leicester, could I get a session there? Councillor Steenport, could we go to the vote? That's carried. Thanks very much. Okay, going on to comment on licensing matters reserved from the receipt from the local licensing authority. Members consider applications for license submitted for consultation. So the one and the only is MA 60562 pavement license application for Green Days Care at 45A High Street, Taunton. I'm just trying to think where this is.
It's just up
High
on High
Street.
Street, just up the top end of the High Street towards Belvedere Park.
Next to
You know, next to Henry's.
Yeah, I know, councillors.
Journey, I think I heard many times that we comment on individual applications, but I think given the number of cafes that have been granted along there on both sides, to a certain extent, have tables and chairs, I think we would have to have a very good reason to not allow Green Days to have the same.
And they already have seating outside, so I'm assuming, is this just a renewal?
That's new.
Is it bigger, is it?
So that, well, that's then the next question is it bigger? Because we've got to be careful, because the cafes are spreading out and it's causing problems for access for public, especially mobility scooters, wheelchairs.
It says the walkway is 8.5 metres wide still.
If it's,
Application.
what I don't understand, the guttering, so they're going to straddle the guttering.
Says it's new application.
Ooh, that's great.
I'm just trying to work out the diagram.
Yeah.
Where's the shop? Where's the shop frontage on that? Is it at the top or at the bottom?
To the top, I think.
So as you go down the diagram, you're moving towards the other side of High
I
Street.
think so.
Yeah, but that's
Because the bottom says 343 centimetres to shops opposite.
if I just.
That's the other side of the guttering. There's 8.
I just wanted, because it'll give us a good idea of where the guttering
Yeah,
is on High Street. I think it's in line probably
I
with
think the cafe's at the top.
cafe culture and also
If it's
Number-
a straight here, because it's not cars, but
there we go. Right, so, yep, it will. There's a guttering, yeah. It'll come out similar to cafe culture.
Yeah.
So it should in theory be okay, as long as, but again, could we request that they start to put barriers up around these?
They have, yeah.
Is it not barriers?
Both sides. Banner,
Both sides,
post, banner,
That's
post.
the line.
yeah,
Already done that.
because
It's 3 posts, 4 banners either side to highlight area.
yeah, and that the tables and chairs can't come out beyond the banners. Because I've noticed further down and further up, the tables seem, and sometimes it's public that move them.
Yeah.
They just decide to move them a bit further out themselves because they want away from other people like that. But we've got to be careful that they stay within the boundary of the marked area. But yeah, apart from that, it's fine.
Yeah,
I didn't.
as Paul said, we can't.
No, as long as it's not
Yeah.
wider than anybody else.
Although I thought it was a daycare for a second because early on I was like, that seems very odd. But
Yeah.
See no issue with this application?
No.
No. Anything? No. Okay, so to support this application, could we get a proposer, please? Councillor Twos, could we get a seconder, please? Councillor Lester, could we go to the vote, please? Carried, thank you very much. The last item is submission of comments, feedback on behalf of town councils to notification of planning applications in the area. Has everybody had a chance to look through this list? Is there any items you'd like to go through? Also, there is comments from councillors like myself who also commented on they're outside the window. But if there's any you'd like to go on, then that's absolutely fine. But if there's not, then I just need a proposal to support. Councillor Staple.
Sorry, I was going to say sport. I'm not. I don't have any.
Okay. Okay.
I don't really-
So support. So to support these.
I don't see any. Well,
Comments, feedback.
anyways,
Can I get a first, please? Councillor Lester, could I get a second? Councillor Stainford, could we go to the vote, please? Thank you very much. End the meeting.
it's a piece of
Yes.
More.
Yeah.
But
Slows us down a bit.
also, no, it's good that